If you're looking to help your little one crawl, you're gonna wanna stick around because in this video, I'm dropping 3 really helpful tips coming up. Hello my friends and welcome back to the Kids OT Help channel. If you're new here, my name's Nicole. I am a mama, I'm a pediatric OT as well as a certified lactation counselor, and this channel is geared to help you navigate child development and make your life a little bit easier. So if you're into it, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Also, if you're a podcast listener, Kids OT Help is now a podcast. So that is also linked in the description box. I would really appreciate it if you subscribed and left a review. All right, guys, let's get into it. So today I'm sharing 3 really helpful tips to help your little one crawl. Okay, so the first tip is probably the most important tip, and that is using items that are going to motivate your baby to participate. As an occupational therapist, pediatric occupational therapist, I cannot stress how important motivation is. Motivation is key to your little one participating, repeating skills necessary to build bigger skills and meet those developmental milestones. So what I would consider is what makes your baby smile? What makes your baby giggle? Is it you making silly faces? Do they have a favorite toy? Do they enjoy the mirror? You want these items to be a part of this activity so your little one is motivated to participate. All right, so the second tip to help your little one master crawling is to focus on strengthening your little one's shoulder muscles. So us OTs call it shoulder girdle muscles, and those are muscles that are like all over here, some of our neck, and even in our upper back. Now, these muscles are really, really important because they are going to be holding up your little one's upper body when they push up through their hands. And a lot of times those muscles might need some work before your little one is ready to be on all fours. So of course in tummy time, they're starting to work those back muscles because they're looking up. They might even be bearing weight on their arms. But your little one might not yet be pushing up through their hands. And that takes a bit more strength. It takes a bit more endurance. And so I'll show you in these video clips what I did to help Kai work on these muscles. At the time, he was about 5.5 months. And the thing is, at that age, he doesn't quite have the coordination to push up through his hands and be on his knees at the same time. His strength wasn't there, his coordination wasn't there. So I'm gonna take some of the load off of him by supporting him through his legs. So by giving him some support through his legs, my hands are placed on the outside of his thighs and I'm sort of just giving a little bit of input so that way he knows we're gonna keep our legs underneath our hips. That gives him some wiggle room to start focusing on pushing up through his hands. And you can incorporate a lot of different activities to motivate your little one to start pushing up on their hands. I used his favorite toys and I set them right outside of his reach, so he had to use his hands to scoot his body over to his toys. I also would give a little input through his chest. And when I lifted his chest slightly, it gave him a chance to get his hands underneath his shoulders and feel what it feels like to bear weight through his hands instead of being on his forearms. So all of these even very small moments in which you're playing with your little one, but you're intentional about what muscles they're using, what body parts they're using, are building strength, it's building endurance, and that is a piece of the puzzle that your little one has to then put together to eventually crawl. So focusing on building those shoulder muscles by, again, giving your little one support through their legs so they can focus on just pushing up through their arms and their hands is really, really great. Because again, we need that strength, we need that endurance, and we also want to give them a chance to figure out what it feels like to balance when we're on our hands and on our knees. Okay, so you've mastered tip 1 and your little one is doing fairly well with tip 2. They have increased their strength in their shoulders. They're starting to push up through their hands. The third tip helps you tie it all together. So once your little one is really able to push up through their hands, and maybe they're even on hands and knees at this point, you can then start playing with the position of their legs. So maybe your baby's at the point where they are strong enough to again be on hands and knees, but maybe you notice your little one's legs still flail out like a frog. And if that's the case, it's because their adductor muscles, which are the inner thigh muscles, aren't strong enough to pull those legs in independently just yet. And that's totally fine. You can continue giving support through the legs as demonstrated in the clip I'm showing here until your baby's adductor muscles are strong enough to keep your baby in 4-point, right? Hands and knees, 4-point. 1, 2, one knee, the other knee, 3, 4. So once your baby's got that down, the next step is what's called disassociation. Disassociation basically means that your little one's going to be able to move one leg in front of the other. When we walk, we have to be able to place one leg in front of the other to take a step. So it's basically creating an asymmetrical pattern, right? They've got to figure out what it feels like to balance with one leg forward and one leg behind while still up on both hands. And maybe your baby isn't moving their leg forward on their own yet. So you can help guide that process by just positioning one knee forward in front of the other and seeing if they're able to balance in that position. Maybe they go back down on their tummy, maybe they hang out for a few wobbles. And once they sort of figure out stability in that position, then you can practice moving the other leg forward. Eventually, you'll likely see that your little one is able to move the leg that's behind up to meet the leg that has been moved forward. And that's really one of the final steps that you will see before your little one begins to crawl. Creeping is, of course, developmentally appropriate, and that just basically means your little one's rocking back and forth on all fours. That's them really figuring out, where's my balance when I shift my body weight forward or when I shift my body weight back. But again, moving those legs so they're asymmetrical is the next step before crawling, because your little one's figuring out how to weight bear, how to move their legs, and eventually coordinate their arm movements as well. And I just want to emphasize how important 4-point play is. Even if your little one isn't crawling, so many beautiful developmentally appropriate things are happening when your little one's in that position. They are getting sensory input through their knees, through their hands, about textures on the ground. It's sending proprioceptive input up to the joints. If you don't know what that is and want to know what it is, I will link the video on our proprioceptive system in the description box below. There's a lot of sensory things that are taking place in 4-point position, which is really important, as well as, of course, the strength building and the endurance building that is necessary for your little one to eventually crawl. So do not discount 4-point play. It's super important. All right, my friend, I hope you found this video helpful. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them below and I will catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.